Carol, I would gladly shake your hand, but I have laryngitis and a little cold, and so I'm kind of in quarantine. But it's a pleasure to meet you. And okay, I'm I'm the pinch I'm the pinch hitter for Matt Kopler. Matt's up in St. Clair Shores now, and I'm filling in until they name a new guy or a new lady. Yeah, with Matt, I sure do. Pardon me? He's a troublemaker. I'll let him know you said so. He probably will. Okay. Okay. Good to meet you. Is the walker temporary or is that kind of a staple? Yeah. Is it your knee? Is it a knee or? Oh. My mom had a walker at the end. She used to call it Trixie. She goes, like you name a doll or you name your favorite bat. My mother named her walker Trixie. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see the chief of police back there. I'm gonna go see him.
Item two on the agenda is to hire outside counsel to write the marijuana ordinance. Doesn't some other city already have a real good one? Sorry. Steal and just buff it up.
I'm going to recommend if there's any marijuana talk that you chat with Ed.
I've heard that about you.
Yeah.
But it just seems silly that I would think that somebody's already got a good package put together. Just run with it.
I have no idea. That would be a question for Ed Zelenak, and he should be here later this evening. Yes.
There is usually. I figured sometimes the city manager has to be the one that stands in between.
My initial thought was not
Yeah.
good. I had actually composed something very similar to what.
Oh, I didn't know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was looking for.
As soon as I saw what you had said, I just.
Corvair, like the car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Your response
His
to
father
didn't
passed,
say
so
word
He's
back.
always looking for. It seems like he's always looking to try to poke somebody. We had can't poke you if I'm in the way. Zach is a local agitator. Every town's got several. I haven't. Maybe he's in the room. I don't know. Is he? Okay. Is that him with a plaid shirt?
Indeed.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Say you know it, right? Yes.
All right.
No, did you see my broom? Where does Chris stand right now?
Where's what, please?
Chris, did he get his CFO yet or not? You know?
Oh, Darzinski?
Yeah.
I'm meeting him after tonight's meeting at his
so that
request.
is, okay.
He's apparently got something working with Lisa relative to his water bill, the water bill, and he is he's lining up inspections. So, yeah, you know, when you say Chris, the first thing that comes to my mind is my wife. That's her first name, Chris. I'm thinking, gee, I don't know, where is Chris?
You don't need to come. Already got the checks in the mail.
Doesn't have to.
We paid yours, so you're good to go.
Okay.
Or we will tonight.
And I did find it.
It just-
Which is not a normal Monday activity.
That's what they are, right?
Yep.
We got you busy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go.
Chief Martin is ready for you to call on him whenever you want to call him. In the back of the room behind the lady with the walker. He's right next to. Okay, Carol. He's right next to Ray Waters. I hope it makes it out at Channel 4. I didn't see the news at 6, 5 or 6, but maybe it'll be on 11 o'clock news tonight.
Professional cannabis, you gotta jump into this. You can make a fortune. You'll be fighting yet for the island time. Start getting into this.
I think the chap standing up there, the bald guy standing up, young man, he's a cannabis lawyer.
It is what it is.
He is.
They got the tool in the parking lot.
Yeah, he's one of their representatives. I'm not sure what his name is, but I know he's with the cannabis people.
Of the group that has
Yeah, he came up and met me somewhere, introduced himself, gave me a card.
but not with the group that understood what it did.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, he's with the other guys. Yeah, Damascus, yeah. That's the name.
Can't say, but I knew somebody that it's a very vicious crowd.
gentleman in the second row messing with their phone. Is that Tom's other daughter? Sitting next to the man with the American sweatshirt. Okay.
Maybe.
The blonde is Parkinson's daughter. That's Connie
That's correct.
Evan Chesky.
This is Mr. Patel and his son. That's Western Plus Hotel.
Fabulous. Just fabulous.
Yay.
If I could have the camera, please. All right. Good evening, everyone. We'll call the meeting of the Lincoln Park Mayor and City Council to order, the meeting of 11/18/19. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, which we immediately followed by the invocation by Dr. Russell Bone of the Church of Christ. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry.
Our Father and our God in heaven, Father, we come to you tonight, especially with heavy hearts because of those in our community that have lost loved ones. Especially tonight, Father, we're praying for Councilwoman Ross's family as her stepmother passed. And we're praying for also John Kazoo's dad as he passed, their family. And we're praying for also Dan Corvair's father passed, and Father, the lieutenant, I know is grieving as well. So we pray, Father, your blessings on them. We're praying for Tom Murphy, our former council person here, who's struggling with his health. And we lay these names at your feet, Father, so that you can bless them and be with their families in this grief and their times of struggle. Father, we know you're the God of all comfort, so we ask you, Father, in a very special way to bless them and be with them. And we know that they can feel their comfort because we're praying to you. And we agree as a city that we want you to step in, and we look forward to seeing your hand on all of these families. Father, in this season of Thanksgiving, we're so grateful for our community here. We're thankful for our government in Washington, D.C., our government in Lansing, and especially tonight, we're asking you to bless all those in this council chamber tonight because they take care of us, they serve us, they worry about us, they make decisions for us, and we ask your blessings upon each and every one of them because of what they do for us, and we pray you'll bless their families because they spend so much time in their concerns for us. Father, we're praying for our police and our fire and all the first responders. And most importantly, Father, we pray for the workers of DPS who take care of our roads and conveniently take care of our sidewalks and bless us every day, and we take them for granted so much, Father. We pray that you'll bless them and be with them and also give them safety, Father, as they serve us every day on our streets. And we take them for granted, Father. So tonight we ask a special blessing on them. And Father, all of these blessings we ask because you have just showered them down upon us. Help us to remember them every day in our prayers. And we pray all of these things in the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord of Lords and King of Kings. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Bone. We appreciate that, taking the time to be with us today. If I could have roll call, please.
Councilpersons Breeding. Present. Higgins.
Here.
Kelsey.
Here.
Parkinson.
Here.
Ross. Here. Salcido.
Here.
And Mayor Carnes.
Here. Well, good evening, everyone. Just prior to this meeting, we had a study session in which we talked about the water service replacements for lead lines and the 2020 road program. If you have an opportunity to watch this, it was videotaped before for your information. A lot of good info was had there. Dr. Bone had mentioned the work of the DPS and the prayers for them. I just want to extend my thanks. We got a lot of snow on Monday, more than we anticipated getting on Monday, I know, more than anybody really. Some 7 or 8 inches, the most ever in a November day. But all the workers of the DPS rose to the occasion and they got it done. And when I saw a couple of the situations where it go, it was being done curb to curb. So, I mean, nice work by those folks. We have our traditional, what has become a tradition, I think it's 54 years now for Fantasyland. They've been working hard to getting this put together, and they're still working hard to make it happen. And the grand opening will be on Saturday, November 30th, which is just 12 days away, at 5 p.m. So if you've taken your kids there, if you were there as a youngster yourself, come back and take a look. Also at that Saturday, November 30th, will be our tree lighting ceremony, which will be taking place across from City Hall in the median at 6:30 p.m. After that time, there will be refreshments at the Historical Museum, be a heated tent, and Santa Claus will be there, so please come on out for that. And with the holidays also, and under the consent agenda, it's going for approval for the Goodfellows to be out soliciting. They do very good work for a lot of people that would not have Christmas in our town if not for their help. There are a lot of people that help the Goodfellows out in this, but without them running the program, and Matt Whirling again is the person that is in charge, and he does a fabulous job and has been for a long, long time. As I said, in my own family, my mother was a child of the Depression, you might say, and that's the only way that she got a new dress, a doll, and a pair of shoes each year was through the Goodfellows. So they've long-standing contributors to the wellness of our kids and all of our families out here. And Thanksgiving will be here before you know it, so I want to extend my and council's wish for a happy holiday for you and for all your families. And I'm going to end by calling on our fire chief, Steve Martin, to come up and explain a situation that has occurred. It may be in the news, it may not, but it goes to show what having proper preventive things in your home can lead to. So, Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to briefly talk about a run we had last night. We were called early in the morning for a carbon monoxide detector going off. 9 times out of 10, it's usually a false alarm. This time it wasn't, and it was early in the morning. There's a young child in the house and a pregnant mother. So it just kind of shined a light on the importance of making sure that everybody has a working carbon monoxide detector in their house. We recommend that you have one on each floor. We also stress that everybody make sure that they change their furnace filters on a regular basis. Usually they want you to do that every 2 months or so. Clean your dryer vents. Most importantly on your dryer, make sure that you have a hard piped exhaust that goes out. The flexible types are not, those are against code. I know they still sell them in the hardware stores, which makes them tempting because they're a little bit cheaper, but they collect the lint and then they're a fire hazard. So we just want everybody to be safe with the cold weather. Everybody's running their furnaces a lot more. And we just want everybody to be safe and don't want anybody to get sick. And when in doubt, if you do have a carbon monoxide detector and the alarm's chirping or going off, on the back of it, it usually has directions that will tell you what the beeps mean. If it's more than a certain amount of beeps, it means that it is in fact an alarm. If it's just chirping once every 30 seconds to a minute, it means it's your battery. But if you don't know or you can't read it because it's awfully small, just call 911. We'll come out and check it out with our gas detector and make sure that everybody's safe. So just a public service announcement, and I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Chief. Good information. Because that's not something that you can smell or even detect, and you'll be out before you know it. So, good information from the chief. Move on to the consent agenda. Resolve that the following items listed on the consent agenda be approved as presented to the mayor and city council. 1, approved minutes, regular meeting held November 4, 2019. 2, approved minutes, special meeting held November 4, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. regarding closed session / labor negotiations. 3, approved participation residential rehab emergency sewer repair. 4, approved charitable solicitation Goodfellows annual paper drive.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Breeding.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
So the equipment.
Well, the first action item is something that is dated back for a while. This was to be the third reading of the motion to opt out of the marijuana ordinance. Though the voters had approved the referendum earlier this month, this still has to be put to bed. So we'll open this up. Whereas the mayor and city council wish to amend the city code to prohibit any and all marijuana establishments within the boundaries of the city of Lincoln Park. Now therefore be it resolved that an ordinance to amend the municipal code of the city of Lincoln Park by adding a new chapter 855 to Title II, Business Regulations, entitled Prohibition of Marijuana Establishments, be given its third and final reading and be adopted. Said ordinance having been posted publicly for at least 72 hours. The City of Lincoln Park ordains that Title II of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Lincoln Park be and is hereby amended by adding a new Chapter 855 as posted.
So moved. Support.
Okay. Discussion on this? Then we will move to a vote.
Okay. Councilpersons Kelsey.
No.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Breeding.
The voters have spoken, so I guess I'm going to vote no.
Higgins.
No.
Ross.
Yes.
Salcido.
No.
And Mayor Carnes. Motion failed.
All right, then the next item that we have is,
Excuse me, Your Honor. I read it wrong. I want to change my vote. No.
okay,
That motion failed.
all right. The next item has a cover letter that came out to the mayor and council from our city attorney, Ed Zelnak. With the passing of the new marijuana initiative, it is my recommendation that the Clark Hill Law Firm be retained to draft the new ordinance for the city. There are complex implications regarding business license fees, zoning regulations, public health, safety concerns that need to be incorporated in the new legislation. Prudence dictates that the municipality engage the specific skills of a firm that has extensive experience in this novel addition to municipal governments and regulatory concerns. So with that, the resolution is resolved that the mayor and council schedule a study session to discuss the hiring of the Clark Hill Law Firm to assist with preparing an ordinance and policies for the marijuana businesses on December 2nd, 2019 at 6 p.m. in the John A. Aloisi Council Chambers, 1355 Southfield Road, Lincoln Park, Michigan.
So move. Support.
All right, discussion? There is a introduction that was handed out to all of the council. Further discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Reading, Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
What's the date on that?
December 2nd.
First council meeting in December.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Next item. Resolved that an ordinance to amend the municipal code of the city of Lincoln Park by adding a new section, .040 to chapter 676, Safety, Sanitation, and Health, entitled Tobacco Products, Vapor Products, and Alternative Nicotine Products on School Property Penalty, be given its first and second reading. The City of Lincoln Park ordains that the codified ordinances be and are hereby amended by adding a new section .040 of the chapter 676 as follows. 676.040, tobacco products, vapor products, and alternative nicotine products on school property penalty. A, except as otherwise provided in subsection D, a person shall not possess or use a tobacco product, vapor product, or alternate nicotine product on school property or public property within 100 feet of school property. B, a person who violates subsection A is guilty of a civil infraction punishable with a fine of $50. C, as used in this section, I, school property means a building, facility, or structure and other real estate owned, leased, or otherwise controlled by a school district. Double I, tobacco product means a product that contains tobacco and is intended for human consumption, including but not limited to a cigarette, non-cigarette, smoking tobacco, or smokeless tobacco, as those terms as defined in Section 2 of the Tobacco Products Tact Acts 1993, Public Act 327, MCL 205.432, and a cigar. Triple I, vapor product means a non-combustible product that employs a heating element, power source, electronic circuit, or other electronic, chemical, or mechanical means, regardless of shape or size, that can be used to produce vapor from nicotine or any other substance, and the use of inhalation of which stimulates smoking. Vapor product include an electronic cigarette, electronic cigar, electronic cigarillo, electronic pipe or similar product or device, and a vapor cartridge or other container of nicotine or other substance in a solution or other form that is intended to be used with or in an electronic cigarette, electronic cigar, electronic cigarillo, electronic pipe or similar product or device. Vapor products does not include a product regulated as a drug or device by the United States Food and Drug Administration under 21 U.S.C. 351 to 360 FFF-7. 4, alternate nicotine product means a non-combustible product containing nicotine that is intended for human consumption, whether chewed, absorbed, dissolved, or ingested by any other means. Alternative nicotine product does not include a tobacco product, a vapor product, food, or product regulated as a drug or device by the United States Food and Drug Administration under 21 U.S.C. 351 to 360 FFF-7. D, subsection A does not apply to that part of school property consisting of outdoor areas, including but not limited to an open-air stadium during either of the following time periods. I, Saturdays, Sundays, and other days on which there are no regularly scheduled school hours. Double I, after 6 p.m. on days during which there are regularly scheduled school hours. E, the chief of police may appoint and deputize security officers who need not be regular employees of the city to enforce this section on school property. I, security officers appointed pursuant to this section are hereby made and empowered as special police officers for the purpose of enforcement of this section. They shall have the power and authority to issue citations for violation of this section. When enforcement action or measures are taken pursuant to this section, security officers will be subject to the supervision and control of the police department.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Yes, Your Honor, discussion through the chair, if you don't mind. In regards to this, security officer appointed, then it says they're special police officers. So are they security officers? Are they police officers? And are they going to be bargaining unit employees, or are we security
Chair,
officers?
may I reply to this? E is being removed.
E.
E.
The last section.
The section you're concerned about?
Oh, okay.
pertaining to-
It's my understanding from a discussion with the chief of police that's being removed for the next reading.
for the next, all right.
So that will solve those issues.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Further discussion?
Could you use the reserve officers for that? They're already sort of duly appointed officers, so if you could put reserve officers will be patrolling this?
I suspect the people that will be utilizing this would be the school resource officer. That would be my understanding of who would be issuing these tickets. That's the officer that's regularly, is in the school on a daily basis.
He's only one. I mean, you could have 4 or 5 reserve officers patrolling games. So I think maybe you want to utilize them to make it a lot better.
I think this is pertaining to during school hours, though. And it could be that since reserve officers are entitled to issue violations, if they came across that at a football game, they'd be able to write that anyway, I would think. Further discussion?
I have a question, Your Honor. Roughly, when would this go into effect? I mean, I know we still have another reading and such, but I just want to get the word out, in proper time.
It would come back for the next reading at the next council meeting, and then it gets published in the papers 10 days later, and it goes into effect
Okay.
upon publication.
Thank you.
All right. Anything further? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Breeding.
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. This is the same thing, I believe. All right.
Yeah. We're just going to do, I just highlighted that part.
Next item is resolved that an ordinance to amend the municipal code of the city of Lincoln Park by repealing section .038 vaping by minors of chapter 676 safety, sanitation, and health, and replacing with the new section .038 entitled possession by minors be given its first and second reading by title only.
So
The
moved.
city
Oh, I'm sorry.
City of Lincoln Park ordains that the codified ordinances be and are hereby amended by repealing and replacing section .038 of chapter 676.
So moved.
Support.
I was going to make you read it all again.
Discussion. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding. Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item that we have is resolved that the results of the marijuana initiative proposal voted on at the general election held Tuesday, November 5, 2019, be accepted as certified by the Wayne County Board of Canvassers on Monday, November 11, 2019, per the recommendation of the city clerk. Lincoln Park Marijuana Initiative Proposal, yes, 1,751, no, 1,374.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Breeding, Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Next item has a cover letter from our Chief of Police, Raymond Waters, and to rescind the resolution passed 11-4 to purchase 3 new SF flashback cameras. The quote was incorrect, as it was only for 2 camera systems. So, be it resolved that the mayor and council rescind resolution 2019-437 to waive the bidding process and purchase 3 flashback HD in-car cameras, as the quote supplied was for an incorrect number of cameras.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item is also from the chief. And whereas the Lincoln Park, or is this the one that was rescinded?
No, this is the
Okay.
good one.
Whereas the Lincoln Park Police Department is requesting to purchase 3 flashback HD in-car cameras, be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize the Lincoln Park Police Department to waive the bidding process and purchase 3 flashback HD in-car cameras for a total cost of $17,535.30, which includes shipping from SF Mobile Vision, who is the sole supplier. Be it further resolved, funds to come from the police department account 101.305.820 initially. Police Department JAG grant to fully reimburse the police department after the purchase has been made.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from John Kazoo, our DPS director. DPS is looking to replace a 2001 Case 590 Super M backhoe, number M102. The DPS would like to waive the bid process and use the state of Michigan bid price under my bid contract with McAllister Machinery and Company. Backhoe, as the DPS is requesting, purchases 2019 Cat Backhoe 420 F2 with buckets and a concrete breaker. So resolved that the mayor and city council hereby agree to waive the bid process and purchase the 2019 Cat 420 F2 backhoe from McAllister Machinery Company with a not to exceed price of $129,135.95, coming from account number 661-932-983000, and the final amount to be financed will be financed through the finance director and to include the trade-in of equipment number M-102, a 2001 Case Backhoe 590 Super M. Be it further resolved that the mayor and council authorize the funds to be taken from account 661-932-983000 and allow the finance director to execute the financial agreement.
So move for discussion.
Support.
Okay, discussion?
Are we leasing this or are we purchasing this?
To replace.
John Kazoo from the DPS.
John Kazoo. We would be purchasing it, but it would be on a payment plan over 5 years.
That's fine.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
And John, what would be the warranty on such a machine?
The warranty is, it's X amount of hours, but I can't tell you the number of hours.
Equivalent to what, maybe like 3 years, 4 years? Hard to say.
I would say yes, but I will get you a positive answer, and I'll send it out to the mayor and council.
Thank you.
Question,
Is this
Your Honor?
budgeted
John?
for, is this budgeted for replacement?
Yes, sir.
She was first, good.
John, is the backhoe that we have now in working order?
We have 2 backhoes now. One is a primary backhoe for the water department, and the backup for the water department is what we classify as a backhoe, or excuse me, a blacktop backhoe, and that's
That's what
the
we're replacing.
older of the 2. What we're going to do is replace the primary backhoe for the water department and take their present backhoe and put it into use for blacktop. And then the blacktop one we will be trading in. But to go back to your question, the present primary water department backhoe, no. It's in the garage for repairs.
How long do those machines last?
Well, the one that we're trying to get rid of is a 2001 model year. So we've gotten 18, 19 years out of that particular one. The present one that will be put into the blacktop is a 2007 model year.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Ross, to answer your question, when I was in the motor pool, 7 years was the life expectancy of a machine. And DPS is really stretching it out as they always have been. So, as long as they maintain it and take care of it, you can get more than 7 years out of them.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
can you explain to the people why we are going around the bid process again?
Well, actually, what we're doing is we're going to go through the state of Michigan bid process. And the state of Michigan bids out a lot of items through, not only for their own usage, but also for other municipality, or let's say county and municipality usages. And usually when they put out these larger bids, they get better prices for the communities that want to utilize their process.
I would agree. I just want to make sure that people understand that.
Okay, anything further? All right, clerk call for the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item, resolved that Samantha Rose, 1512 Merrill, be and is hereby appointed to the Community Improvement Commission to fill the unexpired term of Kimberly Comer, term to expire 5/1 of 2021.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
I see, through the chair, I see we have some background information, but I think, John, I think the city manager, that we're going to work on that a little bit better, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
We are working on that right now.
Okay.
With
Thank you.
Mr. Zalnick.
All right. I'm all set, Your Honor. Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next is resolved that Constance Adamczewski of 3371 River Drive be and is hereby appointed to the Parks and Recreation Commission, term to expire 5/1 of 2022.
So move.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Parkinson?
Yes, but I will not announce that's my daughter, so it's a definite yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Salcido?
Tom, since it's your daughter, yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Resolved that David Brian King, 448 Lincoln be and is hereby appointed to the Parks and Recreation Commission, term to expire 5/1 of 2021.
So moved.
Support.
Question
Discussion.
to the chair, or
Yes.
discussion. We have a couple, would it be inappropriate to have a couple that are here to stand so the people at home can see who we're appointing? Would that be an inappropriate comment to make?
Well, actually,
At the
I
end?
was going to look to see if you're prepared
I am.
to swear them in
That'll work.
after that, but.
That'll work,
good-
Your Honor.
Good point, but is there any further discussion on? Okay, then we will. When you're ready?
Yep, I got it.
Okay,
We got to have him approved before we do this part.
I understand.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Breeding? Higgins?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
Okay.
So is Constance, Samantha, and David all here? If you are, please come forward.
Your Honor, I'd like to point out that Constance has been leading the group that has been volunteering to help clean up our parks this summer, and while she's here, I'd like to give her a big thank you on behalf of the council and the city.
Well, we're ever looking for and hoping for come forward, please. Looking for volunteers, you're going to need to come to the clerk right here. Looking for volunteers to help us out, and these folks have come forward.
Yep.
So,
Do you want me
please.
to walk around so that they can turn around and get their faces seen by
Sure, why not? You never knew.
asked you for permission today. It was pretty decent.
I need you to raise your right hand. Do you hereby swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that you will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Community Improvement Commissioner and Parks and Recreation Commissioner to the best of your ability? Yes. All right. I need you each to sign. I hit it.
Keep it.
This one's you, and then this one's.
Thank you.
Now
She'll point
Just
out.
right above your name, right above your name.
There's nothing like putting
And there's
it
your
to work.
resolution.
That's right.
As it was
I'm going
read.
to need you to fill those out and give them back to me. Okay.
We got 3 hour tour.
Thank you, Constance.
And the same.
And that's your
Thank you.
resolution
Thanks
too.
for spending. No, you didn't.
We'll send it out.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Did she need the packet too, or did you already get it?
She's got it.
They won't be using too much.
Look forward to working with you.
Adam Commission. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, good luck to you.
All righty.
Now you're official.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
well.
Congratulations.
Yep, yep.
May I add to Councilman Hankins? They are revamping the cleanup committee, and she's starting to make a calendar for next year. So anybody looking to volunteer, get a hold of Constance.
Okay. We definitely are thankful for people coming forward to help us out. Next, resolve that the accounts and claims payable for those items greater than $25,000 be approved as follows. JB Contractors, and this check has been released for due date. Pedestrian lighting for DDA, $25,505. BSNA annual support service of software, $36,817. Downriver Community Conference 2019-2020 membership dues. Downriver Mutual Aid dues and October Senior Citizen Transportation, $44,388.41. Downriver Utility Wastewater Authority, September 2019 sewage usage fee, user fee, $108,915.15. DTE Energy, October 2019 gas and electric, $67,122.65. GV Cement, 2019 concrete reconstruction, 2018 concrete sectioning and utility sectioning, $403,994.89. Hennessy Engineers Incorporated, General Consulting, NDEQ report, SAW grant, water main replacements, sewer bulkhead repairs, asphalt resurfacing, concrete sectioning, joint and crack sealing, road bond reconstruction, utility sectioning, SRF, and road reconstruction programs for $102,219.78. McKenna Associates, October 2019 Building and Department Services Permits, $71,909.40. Scadeller Construction, 2019 Joint and Crack Ceiling Program, $88,870.50. City of Wyandotte, July 1st, September 30th, 2019, dispatch, $74,442.82.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
the payment for the pedestrian lighting, the DDA, is that work complete?
Yes.
Our DDA director isn't here tonight. I will check into it and get an answer for you. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think it's for the full payment, for,
Yeah.
there is work still to be done.
Yeah, that's
but
why I'm
this- yeah.
questioning that.
But this is for work that has been.
So it's a partial payment? Okay,
Yeah, I'll find out more for you.
okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Reading, Higgins,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Salcido.
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Now move to the city manager's report. Mr. Zeck, who's battling a little laryngitis, so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'll be brief tonight because I don't have a lot of voice, but I do want to bring up an important subject for the city council and the mayor to consider. As was previously mentioned, we had an unusually large snowfall way early in the month of November. And ordinarily this time of year, it's leaf season. And so consequently, when the Snow came, there were many, many trees, at least a good half of the trees of the city had not dropped their leaves yet. Consequently, when they were plowing the snow, they were also plowing leaves, which were wet, frozen, soaked, etc. They were plowing them back up onto the folks' driveways and on their front lawns. We're still making our way through leaf season, so the health and safety part of this is, it's really important that the community get rid of its leaves before it gets very cold. If those leaves remain in the street and they freeze, they become very slippery, they can block up the storm sewers. When there is some thaw, then the water can't make it into the storm system and exit the community. So in speaking with the director today, we feel the ordinary time for the compost season to end would be November 29th, the day after Thanksgiving this year. But because so many of the leaves are still on the trees, we'd like to extend it at least 1 week to December the 6th. You're having a meeting on December the 2nd. If we feel that we have to ask you permission to go further, perhaps to December 13th, we will do that. But we thought it best to ask you tonight for your permission to extend so the public would know that they can put their leaves out in bags and or in their compost containers, and that they'll be taken away as late as December 6th. Again, if they put them in bags and they put them out and there's nobody to pick them up, then they've got to bring them into their backyard, perhaps store them behind their garage or in their garage or behind their house. The leaves will freeze, the bags will deteriorate, and they're going to end up having to rebag them again. And so from the sake of efficiency and safety for the public, we'd like to go until December 6th, and perhaps on December 2nd, we'll be asking you for additional permission to go deeper in picking up the compost.
Do you need a resolution for that, John, or is that just?
I think that I'm not certain if we need it or not, but I would like your permission, so if that's best through a resolution, that's what John and I would like.
I have a question to the chair. Is this an additional expense?
Well,
GFL?
Yes, it will. It will involve some additional money, no question. They'll have to have their trucks available longer, and but they're still going to get about the same amount of leaves they always get. It just won't be in as compact a period of time. But in the interest of public safety, it'd be best to get those leaves out of the city to the compost facility, and if we have to have a few remaining, that's one thing, but it'd be best if we did it this way so as to avoid flooding in the streets, slippery streets, so on and so forth.
Okay. Maybe you could reach out to them and
I will.
see, since they haven't had to pick up a great amount of the leaves, and give us a little bit, cut us a little bit of a slack. But either way, it's my opinion that we're going to need to have this done. I mean,
That's what we feel.
yeah. So I will move to that.
And I'll support.
It should be direct the city manager to use the best means practicable to effectuate the leaf pickup beyond the normal season and report upon conclusion of same to city council. That way he can determine the expenditures, he decides how long he needs to do it. What do you think? Did you have something better than that? You look like you did.
Nope. Nope, what he said.
I'll be back. I will report
I'll
again on
rewatch
December
the
2nd.
meeting tomorrow so that I can get it right.
I've already forgotten what I told you.
I'm sure.
I'm just going to say.
You could
I'm sure.
write it out for Ed.
I'll write it.
I'll just rewatch the meeting in the morning so I can get your
May I have a
wording.
piece of paper, sir?
Yeah.
I got it.
Basically, it's that we're authorizing him to check out how much it's going to pay and
Taking
Go
care
ahead
of
and
it.
do it, Mayor.
go ahead and
Do
do
it.
it. Yeah, basically.
That concludes
Okay.
my report. Thank you.
Okay, well,
So we have a
we have a motion on the table, or not on the table, on the floor.
Okay. You want me to
Is
call a
there-
roll? Or are you still talking?
I'm seeing if there's any
Okay,
discussion on
I'm
it.
sorry.
Do we have any, okay. then
I think
call
you
the
understand
roll.
what the resolution is, don't you?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. I wasn't sure where we were with it. That confused me.
Please call the roll.
We're good? Okay. Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
Council President Breeding.
Yes.
Councilpersons Higgins.
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
And Salcido.
Yes.
Okay, is there anything further for Mr. Zach?
Yes, through the chair, I have a question, if you don't mind, Mr. Zek. If you want to tell the residents of Lincoln Park, what constitutes a snow emergency? How many inches, if you would know that? Because I had several calls and text messages, cars are in the street, and I know the DPS was out the day before and the day of the snow event, which was very helpful, but when do we actually move the snow?
I'm not 100% certain of the answer. I believe it's 4 inches, but it's 4 inches. Mr. Kazoo is giving me the signal. Typically, most communities go with 4 inches, sir. And
it can be declared at 4 inches or not. In this case, it was in conversations with our DPS director, and everybody was out salting on late Monday.
Yep.
And then they're looking for the call-in on, or is that late Sunday? We're looking for the call-in, late Monday, and then going into Tuesday, coupled with everyone being home from that, from the holiday. And where everyone was going to put the cars. And it sounded like the DPS had things under control up until that point.
I'm not disputing that.
Oh, no, I'm just, for the people that are out there, I'm giving them the full story with this, and determined that they were able to take care of it without having to declare it at this point.
we were glad the schools canceled for the day because the buses weren't out, the parents weren't out driving their kids.
All right, thank you very much.
The traffic was a little lighter.
Anything further for Mr. Zach? All right, then we will move on to the department head report. This evening, we have the finance department, and we have our finance director, Lisa Griggs.
Would you mind switching the...
Tell you what, you're putting a lot in risk here with me doing this. I can't see what...
Yep.
Is that the right?
Yep, you got it.
Beautiful.
All right, well, good evening. Tonight, I'm going to give you an update on where we're at with the financial audit for the city. So as you know, we ended the fiscal year for 2018-19 on June 30th. During my last report, I talked about that the audit was going to be starting soon. So we've now since completed the audit. The auditors wrapped up all of the financial data. They're still kind of working on some background stuff, getting some final letters from attorneys and our actuary. So wrapping up all of those things, we're going to have our draft meeting on the 26th. And the presentation, as I state a little bit further, I'll jump ahead there. We're going to present the financial statements to the mayor and council on December 16th. The city will once again have a contribution to fund balance, so that's definitely something positive. We had predicted that. It ended up being a little bit higher, which allowed us to start to meet our obligations under Public Act 202. So that's the requirement. The city now has to file the annual report, letting the state know where we're at with our pension and our OPEB obligations. And one of the main goals of the previous city manager and myself was to start setting some money aside to meet those obligations with the state. We had to file a corrective action plan last year as well. So as part of that, we did pledge to start moving forward in the right direction and putting some funds aside to fund the future OPEB obligations for the city. The obligation is huge. It's just, a little tiny dent in that, but it's a good step in the right direction. So this year we are contributing $600,000 unrestricted to fund balance, and $300,000 will go towards that OPEB obligation. And this will actually bring the city now just above our 20% fund balance policy that we had adopted, I think was about 2 or 3 years ago. So that's another positive note. We've now met that policy that council set forth. Unfortunately, again, due to the underfunded pension systems for both municipal and police and fire, and the OPEB obligations, which are those retiree obligations that the city has going forward. We have to continue to be very prudent with our funds. While we are over that 20%, we could, just as easily drop down in the coming years. So we still have to be very, very careful with how we spend our money going forward. For the current fiscal year, the general fund budget's set at $23.9 million, and through the end of October, just 11 million, or about 54% of the revenue has been received to date. It's a little bit higher than you would project at this point, but that's primarily because of the tax revenue collection. A large portion of that is collected in August and then October, so the biggest portion of that has been collected, so that's why it puts us a little bit over that. The expenditures are just over 8 million, or 33%, so that's right on target with where we should be. So all the departments are continuing to do a good job of watching where they're at with their budgets. They're really good now about putting their purchase orders in and following all the proper procedures, so that's very positive as well. And then we did have the study session earlier about the roads, so I thought I would talk a little bit about the capital funds, just to put it out there for mayor and council and the public to see what we're doing with those funds. For the Act 51 road capital funds, as well as the road bond funds, just since July, the city's expended $2.3 million to maintain, replace, and repair the city roads. So that's much more than we've done in previous years. So we are definitely trying to take care of those crumbling roads. For years, we did very little, more maintenance than anything. So that's good that the public can see that we are spending those funds as promised. And in addition to that, $720,000 has been spent in water and sewer capital funds. So that's replacing the sewers and water lines under the underground as part of those road projects, and some of it's separate. And we are already beginning the budget process for the 2020-21 budget year. We've sent out the capital request forms. That's always the first step. As you know, talking about the lead procedures, that's going to be one of the big items that we're really trying to plan for in the capital budget going forward. Those forms will be due back December 4th. And then the regular budget requests are going to be starting in the coming weeks. And then we'll start our department meetings with all of the department heads based on their requests in January, continuing into February with any follow-up meetings. And then the preliminary budget will be sent to mayor and council in March of this year. And the budget sessions with mayor and council will be held in April. And then the public hearing in May and the final adoption in June. And then I was going to talk a little bit about some of the annual reports that the finance department has to do each year, and it's usually right after the audit's complete is when we can begin doing these. The first one is the annual city, village, and township revenue sharing report. So that's a new requirement that went into effect when all of the revenue sharing changes came into play back with Governor Snyder. So each December 1st, we have to file a report with the state. It's also posted on the city's website. We use a third-party software to help with that. But basically, we have to report everything from how we've spent our funds, all the revenue for the different funds, as well as crime reports in there. There's a lot of different, the reports are online, so you should take a look at it. There's a lot of information in there. Unfortunately, it's just another requirement in order for us to continue to receive our revenue sharing that we're entitled to anyway. So that's due December 1st. And then the annual audit has to be filed electronically with the state of Michigan as well as the federal government by December 31st. So once those financial statements are complete and Plant Moran has everything done that they need, they will submit them electronically online, and then I have to go on there and authorize all of it, sign it electronically, and that all has to be done by the end of the year as well. Then we have our annual Act 51 report, so that's the gas and weight tax, the road funds that we use. We have to report to the state on that as well, how we are spending those funds. There's certain requirements for some of the right-of-way funding that comes through for that, so we have to make sure that all of that we're meeting the obligations that's required under the Act 51 guidelines. So that's due at the end of the year. And the annual F-65 report is another state report, lots of state reports that we have to break out how we are spending our money based on their categories, as well as all of our revenues received for the city. And then the one I was talking about with the retirement and the OPEB under Public Act 202, that's the due date changed this year. This will be the first year, I believe it's the first year that it's due January 2nd. So we will have to file that report stating the status of our pension system and our OPEB obligations. And we, of course, will be underfunded status again for both of those. So because we have no future money set aside for retirement benefits, that's a trigger, and we'll have to file another corrective action plan. And then we'll just, we'll have to continue to do that each year, and then they follow up every so often to make sure that we are on the right path with that. The annual qualifying statement, it's just a kind of a quick report that we have to do, but we have to do it just in case the city is going to take on any debt in the coming year, to make sure that the state has all of that information on file. That's also due by the end of the year. And then the last thing, it's not really a report, but we're going to file our distressed city grant request with the state of Michigan. So the city manager and myself have been working on those. We met with DPS and Hennessy and some of the items that they felt would be good to request this year. And I know Matt had been working on some of that prior to his leaving, so we have to have that filed by January 2nd. And then I'm just going to touch on kind of an overall picture. I know I usually talk about the water shutoffs during my report. Usually I'm kind of in mid-cycle of where we're at with the shutoff season, so I just kind of wanted to put it all together and do a final report for this past year of how many notices were sent out. I broke it down by districts, but I'll just go over the totals. So between all 7 districts for the city, the staff sent out 3,595 shutoff notices. And of those, 37%, or 1,325 residents received red tags on their homes. So that means they didn't follow up with the office in regards to the shutoff notice that they received. They either didn't contact us right away or didn't contact by the due date. So of those, some of them entered into payment plans at that point, and the ones who did not, which was only about, I say only 235 homes, but some of those are sometimes vacancies. So it's only 7% of those that were shut off. So, but it just, those red tags take a lot of time. John has talked about that several times before. And you can see it, 1,300 homes to go to door and put tags on. It's a lot of homes. Most of those were in the first round that we do. The second round is usually just kind of some of the people that fell off payment plans. Most of those people will usually respond and re-enter into a payment plan. We're pretty flexible with that as far as, in the past years prior to the ordinance being changed, we had very strict guidelines. Once you received a shutoff notice, there was very little flexibility. We couldn't go into payment plans more than 30 days, so which really is not a payment plan. So the residents do have a lot more options now, and we do always try to work with them. And then just to kind of touch on some of the projects that I reported on before, we did switch over to our new information technology company effective September 1st. The company's name is Enertron, and so far all the feedback from the employees has been very positive. Contrary to the previous company, it seems the service level has been what they had promised us, so that's very, very good for us. And the new phone system has been a little bit delayed. We are in the final stages of the discovery phase. We have received all of the new phone equipment. It's been delivered here to City Hall. Once they finish the discovery phase, they're saying it should be about 30 days out from now. So by the end of the year is the hope. We had hoped to already have it in place. There were a couple of hiccups with some of the technology pieces of it, but they've got that all hammered away, I believe. So within the next 30 days, we should be up and running on our new phone system. And that is all I have to report on tonight.
Thank you. Anything for Lisa from council?
I have a question, Your Honor.
Yes.
Lisa, if you could just tell us the reports that you were talking about that are on the website.
Yes.
Where do we find those under open government?
It should be right under open government. And then there'll be a tab for, it'll say like Munitrex on it. That's the third party. So it takes you right to their website. It's actually a really informative website. It has several of the community. It has, I think, all of the communities listed for certain things, but those who subscribe to the service, it has a lot more data in there. So you can kind of see it. Also gives risk factors and shows you where you're at based on all of your financial reporting, where you're at with your fund balance, how far at risk you are for, it's got these codes in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of thing. So that's kind of neat to see several years ago, we were, of course, in the bad range, and now we've moved up and we're doing much better in that respect. But it's a nice website. You're welcome.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yes.
Could I get a hard copy of the report?
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
Yep.
The last question I got is the water and sewer fund, how is that, where are we at with that? I know we borrowed some money, we're paying some back. Or is that going to be in the report to council with the audit when they give us all that?
Yeah, so that actually, you won't see it in the revenue and expenditure. It's a balance sheet item, so you'll see that hanging out there in the water and sewer fund is money that's still owed back. Same with general fund, it's a liability for the general fund until that's paid down. So we've been making annual payments. And as general fund continues to progress, we can start to kind of bump that. That was one of the things that we had talked about too for the next budget year, is bumping that payment back up a little bit.
Do you know roughly what we still owe, or, I mean, or how many years yet we got to go? Or?
Years wise, I can't remember off the top. It's only, I think it was 2014 that we borrowed that, so we've still got like 15 years, but we can, the nice thing is we're not obligated to that. We can speed it up, so as general fund continues to get healthier each year, we can, and our cash flow is good, we can continue to, we can bump that up as we need to.
Okay.
So we don't have to go out the full term.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anything else for Lisa from council? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Put this back, maybe.
The football game.
Yeah, right.
You want it back in the drawer, man?
Yes, please. We've reached the point for citizen communications.
My name is Duchesne, and I live in Lincoln Park. And at the last city council meeting, a citizen brought up again about how the GOP-controlled legislature took around $400 million out of the state's general fund to fix the darn roads. Luckily, the governor vetoed that raid and on the general fund. If our politicians in the cities got after the governor and the politicians in Lansing, maybe the cities could get back some of that $400 billion. Maybe if our politicians didn't believe that story about the $400 billion for roads, well, here it is in the newspaper again. And it says, Whitmer in her liberal use of the line item veto was necessarily because the GOP penned budget was so bad, packed with pork and dripping irresponsibility into the state's general fund, its main bank account, to save off over $400 billion for road funds. So that was vetoed. And I think the city should try to get some of that money back that we lost 10 years ago. Remember the old saying, the squeaky wheels get the grease. And I understand that the recycling program has been into effect for a couple of weeks now, or because I couldn't tell by my street. I didn't see that many blue bins out there. Now, somebody was supposed to check, I think, and see if the recyclings are going into a recycling depot or they're being put into the regular trash dump that they have. Did anybody check on that, or?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, yes, in fact, the recycling items that are picked up are going to a recycling facility. They cannot go to a landfill. It's illegal to take them to a landfill. They must go to a recycling facility. That's the law. And we're monitoring our vendor, Green for Life, or GFL, to make sure that that's happening the way it's supposed to be. And if we have any reports or anybody sees somebody taking recycling, observing this, it's going to the landfill as opposed to the recycling facility, I'd appreciate it very much if they let us know at City Hall, and we'll follow up on it. But the recycling items are going to a facility where they sort them and then take them from there. to.
Now, does anybody have an idea what percentage of the people are putting their blue bins out? Because on my street, I didn't hardly see any. That's why I wasn't sure that it was even into effect.
I don't have that figure. I will see if we can obtain it. It'll take a little while for people to get used to using the bin. They're pretty large bins. In some cases, folks think, well, maybe I'll wait till I fill it before I put it out. But they actually encourage you to put it out along with your regular trash and with your compost every week. And they'd rather take a little of it at a time as opposed to dumping the whole thing. But either way, a family wishes to do it is fine with us. But it does take a little while for people to get used to them.
Now, and don't forget to bring your scrap paper to the bins on Cleophas behind the library. Don't put your scrap paper in the recycling bins. That scrap paper helps that you put in the bins on Cleophas helps things for the library. All that money goes to the library. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Duchesne? Mr. Duchesne?
Yes?
I talked to Sam Caramago last week on some complaints that I had, and I forget how many thousands of pounds that they picked up on recycling. It was hundreds of thousands, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't remember exactly right now. But they are picking it up, and they are getting a lot of tonnage.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Reverend Tracy Dupre. I have some very good news for the animal people, the people that are concerned about the animal shelter. I got permission from Chief and our head ACO to visit the animal shelter on Thursday. I met the girls, wonderful girls, which one of them was Mayor Kern's daughter, Connie. Lovely girl. Being in rescue for so long, I am overprotective of animals. And so this made me feel a lot better. Visiting, I left comforted. I would like the city and the citizens to know that the dogs are being well taken care of. Yes, the building is limiting, but the girls are doing everything they can to get everything done. There were a few things I shared with them with my history of rescue and shelters over 32 years, which they were very grateful for. While I was there was a dog adopted, and so after the dog was adopted, I went and provided them with a spay-neuter voucher for free and shots at the Michigan Humane Society. That comes from me directly. That is not sponsored by the city, just so everyone knows that that's not something that we agreed to at this point. The little Chi-Chi that was found, the little Chihuahua that was found on Ferris, I don't know if everybody saw that, but he's been adopted. So he now has a home. So we're happy about that. I've set up some fundraisers. One of them is with John from Feed Right. I think we're going to do it like twice, or 2 weeks every other month. The money that's donated to Feed Right helps offset the cost of the shelter, which is obviously good for the city, and hopefully some of those savings may be filtered into the new building that they are currently meeting and planning on. I saw from the building department, I saw the blueprints, and I'm very pleased. It looks very nice. I'd like to thank the voters that came out on November 5th. I was kind of surprised at the numbers, but again, I haven't followed regular election numbers in the past, so I was kind of surprised that we didn't get a few more. But I did also get in the mail from our clerk's office an invitation of some sort, I won't say some sort of type, that for absentee ballots, which I think is very nice for the people that cannot get out and vote, or it's just difficult for them, and I think that's a very good idea. Thank you, DPS. Tuesday morning, plowed my street. I got everything dug out. I posted a picture. They were out Sunday decorating. in the median, and it was kind of a sketchy picture, but I didn't want to hold up traffic any more than I did already. Just a quick note, I don't know if everyone here is familiar with the American Indian Services that we have on Southfield, but they do have a food pantry that they provide food for citizens, many of Lincoln Park. And I'm sorry, I always call her Gretchen, but I think Governor Whitmer cut the funding to them. And chances are they're no longer going to be providing food for the people in Lincoln Park. So the only thing we'll have then is Blessed Hope. And that's a big concern of mine. I happened to be out there Wednesday talking to them, and I saw a couple of the council people looking at the building, and I'm not sure what was going on, but I didn't want to interrupt, but I just wanted to let everybody know that a lot of people, especially the elderly and disabled, are really relying on this. So I don't know what, if anything, we can do to help, but I do have a flyer if anyone's interested. Thank you.
Excuse me, Tracy?
Excuse me. It's not permitted. You have to go through the chair, sir.
Through the chair.
Yeah, yes.
Could you name the things that you'd like to have donated to the pound?
Well, there is a list, and what I'm doing is I'm creating an Amazon wish list. I am separately collecting blankets and cleaning supplies and towels. There's a very small area. There's actually no storage in the building. So what I'm going to do is house those I live right on Russell and Marion, so it's built right there. So I'm going to just have some bins at my house, and so when they need their bins filled, I'll take them there. So I'll do the collecting myself for that. But there will be an Amazon wish list for specific items that they'd like.
Blankets and beds and toys?
Beds are actually, I've asked for beds. We have 20 medium-sized beds already that someone has volunteered. And I just need 10, I shouldn't say I'm sorry, the shelter needs 10 smaller beds, which I'm trying to work out right now.
Okay. But you can provide that to the city manager's office, and we'll make that available to everyone else.
Certainly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Clifford Eberts. Just a few quick reminders. As Mayor Carnes has said, the Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday season is rapidly approaching. It'll be here before you know it. And that brings to mind also what Chief Martin said, and to kind of expand on what Chief Martin said, fire safety is important. If you're using electric heaters, don't use extension cords with them. Watch your electrical outlet usage. If you are using kerosene heaters, the old school ones, make sure you've got adequate ventilation to prevent carbon monoxide buildup in the home. And as many of you are preparing for Thanksgiving, some of you are into that new fad of deep frying your turkey outdoors with propane deep fryers. Please be careful. Make sure your turkey is not frozen and thawed out and not wet when you put it into the hot oil. The grease can splash over through the lid and put a hole in the propane hose, and as we know, that reaches the flame, and next thing you have an explosion and a very much needed call in to the fire department. So be safe with that. Like Chief Martin said, your smoke detectors, make sure you have one on every floor. Make sure they're the ones with the light, so if there is smoke in your house, you have a way to see to get out. And don't forget to get with your family, have a fire evacuation plan in case something does happen. You know, and if there's any issues or any questions, you can always call Chief Martin and he'll give you the details on that. Also, the tree lighting ceremony in Fantasyland, that is definitely coming up. I encourage all Lincoln Parkers, tell your family and friends from the neighboring communities to come out and participate. It's the participation of everybody being there that makes this happen. And Fantasyland works on donations at the same time. They always are looking for help to set up. So it's a Lincoln Park tradition that's been around since well before I was born. So, and I'm 51, and I'd like to see it continue. So if you can, please do. You also have choices when you go shopping, so make sure this holiday season, support your local Lincoln Park mom and pop businesses. I'm sure they would appreciate that over the big box stores, as it helps them survive and thrive in our city and brings travel and tourism. Lastly, last year, if you noticed, the council chamber was decorated really nice for the upcoming holiday season. I found the Christmas decorations, and I will be decorating the council chambers again soon. So if anybody has any extra lights or extra garland or extra Christmas trees, artificial with lights, you can bring them up here to City Hall. I would be greatly appreciative of that, as I'm going to try and expand the nice decorations and make it look very festive for everyone. So I encourage everyone to participate. And like I said, happy Thanksgiving. Be very careful. Please, fire safety. If you have questions, call Chief Martin. And if you have Christmas decorations you no longer want at work and you want to give them, bring them to City Hall, and then I can use them to participate in decorating council chambers. And if anybody wants to contact me, they can, and they can come help me decorate the council chambers. Thank you.
Sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Richard Kudrak. On the city's website, there's a big section for transparency. I have a few items I think it could have been done better. Before voting, the residents were not told the cost of the $20 million road bond proposal would be $27 million with $7 million interest added. Before voting, the residents were not told the cost of the $61 million school bond proposal would be $104 million with $43 million interest added. Despite his denials, there is no possibility the school superintendent spoke at a council meeting without council concurrence. The residents received little notice. The council intended to spend $1.2 million on the reinstatement of retirees' health care benefits. Residents were not told the 15% water bill increase instituted by the emergency manager in 2015 has never been rescinded. The residents have never been told the intended location of the $30 million criminal justice center. The city refused to respond to a Freedom of Information request to identify the location of the criminal justice center. The city failed to announce the formation of a building authority. To date, the city has failed to respond to a Freedom of Information request regarding the building authority. During the November 4 meeting, the council approved holding public meetings in non-city owned properties. None of these meetings should ever be held in any establishment which sells alcohol. Thank you.
Chris Darzinski, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's all the same in my world. Place to call to the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs regarding a contractor. I'll get into that in a later date. Just wanted to make an announcement about that. Oh yeah, only 12% voter turnout on Tuesday for the special election. It's always very disappointing to me. I don't know how you get more people to turn out. Been involved in politics since I was 8 years old. I don't know. You want things to change in your city, you got to work on. You got to get involved, and you got to vote. Talked to a resident a couple weeks ago regarding our new command officers at the police department, Chief Waters and Deputy Chief Klokovich, who's been on the job now as Deputy Chief since last year, or earlier this year, and they're real happy. It's always a big shift when you go when you have someone like Joe Lavis who retires after such a long and fabulous career here in Lincoln Park. So it's just good to hear that someone's on the way. Well, it's good to hear someone talk to someone who I guess understands how important it is to have a good command structure and who recognizes those things. Bob Steele, chairman of the DDA, he owns several businesses in town, including the Steel Trap And I'm sure everybody has seen the fabulous new LED sign on Southfield there, right at the freeway. I've given myself a couple of months to look at it from many different angles and many different times of the day. As I've stated before, you know, legally blind, glaucoma, a whole bunch of other things. So I have a different perspective on signs like that, and it's great. I was concerned about oranges, yellows, and light blues. I've always had trouble with those colors myself. Oh, I'm also slightly colorblind too. So, but I was concerned about how that would hit people at nighttime. You know, I can read it good, even in the morning when I'm driving to work. So it's, I think it's changed the aesthetics of that entire area. And again, I can read it, even the oranges and the yellows. So it's just really nice to see that up there. It's a good punctuation mark as you're leaving the downtown, and it's a good punctuation mark as you're coming into the downtown. So longtime police officer, retired, and business owner Bob Steele, good job on that. I'm one of the Hands of the City volunteers who is selling New Year's Eve tickets for the Lincoln Penny Drop. That's going to be at the Moose Lodge. And we have Detroit Rock City, the KISS Tribute Band, the premier KISS Tribute Band of Michigan. And there'll also be food, $25. You know how to get a hold of me, 734-775-2267. Currently, I've sold 4 more tickets than Mike Higgins. It's not really a competition, but we want to see who can sell more. So help me beat him. So, okay. Nothing But Comics, my Nothing But Comics show, small little comic show, only $2 to get in, $1 16 and under, $4 for a family, as large as you want. That is Saturday, December 14th at the VFW Post, 552 1125 Fort Street, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I'll be giving away 10 packs of free comics every hour on the hour. So good way to introduce the kids and the grandkids to comic collecting. Mike Higgins will be teaching a class. No, that's a joke. So I really thought that was a funny joke. Okay. The African Continental Free Trade Area. I had mentioned that in an email and mentioned it to council. I'm doing work on this at a slightly higher level. Finally got some thread on this. And once this gets ratified, it's really going to open up investments within the stock exchanges on the African continent. And as I said, specifically, I think within the index funds, all the stock exchanges on the continent that have index funds, I see this as a very, very good short and long-term investment for the police and fire retirement portfolio. I should be able to talk to Morgan Stanley directly within the next 90 days. I'm going to make a presentation on behalf of a private corporation. And I've got a few... okay, thank you.
I talked to Morgan Freeman one time. Sorry.
Jason Bear, Lincoln Park resident. Being a Parks and Recs commissioner, it was great to see two new appointments to my commission tonight. Our next meeting is this Wednesday at the band shell at 7 o'clock, and it's always open and available to the public and anyone that would like to come. Just wanted to throw that in there, as well as talk. And I'm also with the Hands of the City group, just like Chris is, and we do have an event coming up a little sooner than. What he had mentioned. We have the holiday book and holiday fair on December 8th at the Lincoln Park Library. The proceeds will benefit the Lincoln Park Library, and that's just about three weeks away, I believe, from noon to 6. And I know he mentioned the New Year's Eve Lincoln Penny Drop. I just wanted to add in that the proceeds to that, even though it is the middle of winter, will go to the Thursday Summer Concert Series and the Summertime Kids Program once we cover the expenses for the night. And this, I don't know if this will be the first plug for our all-day jam, but that is March 28th, and that is our really big fundraiser for the Memorial Day Parade that we put on every year. So we're already in the process of trying to collect raffle baskets, schedule bands, start bringing volunteers. We need as many raffle baskets as we can bring in, so we can go have that and the various 50/50s that we'll have. So that's a few months out, and I'm sure it'll be getting a lot of mention between now and then. And that's all. Thank you.
Hi, Leslie Lynch Wilson, Lincoln Park Farmers Market. The outdoor markets are over for the season, for the year. We do have a holiday market this Sunday, 11 to 4 at the Icarus Hall, the small hall next to Park Restaurant. We will have some produce, baked goods, and craft items, some holiday crafts. And we will have an activity for Pop Club, our Power of Produce Club for the kids. So, and the kids, since we will have produce, the kids will also get a $2 voucher to use for the produce. So be sure to stop in. And the most important thing is Santa Claus will come at 1 o'clock. So Santa will be there from 1 to 3, and we will also have some free hot chocolate for everybody. Thank you.
Sean Stansberry. I'm a little confused of what I just heard a little while ago. Our interim city manager just said that none of the recyclables is going to the landfill. I kind of recall a little while ago that Sam was up here and said that if they were contaminated, they'd be going to a landfill. So I don't know why we're telling people that, especially at a meeting where everybody's getting to listen to this and watch this. So I think we need to restate that or something, because that's not true. And Sam was right up here and said this opposite of what you said, so I think we need to clarify that. Another article was posted by a great Lincoln Park resident on Facebook the other day about Frenchtown Township dropping recycling over contaminated loads. It seems like every couple months, cities and townships are doing the same. I'm curious to see what Sam from GFL says about Lincoln Park's contamination rate here soon. How truthful will the process be with no real oversight except for what they tell us? I guess trust but verify goes right out the window. The previous comment from the mayor and council that if it ends up in the landfill, we would terminate the contract was a complete lie. And I'll say that every time, because it was. This was known by Sam from GFO when he told us that some of the recycling would end up in the landfill. Not one person up here, including the no votes, said one thing to him about that. I was really shocked. I couldn't believe that. Folks out there, no matter what happens with recycling, I don't care if we find out it's going to the landfill, I think it's here to stay for the full years, so I guess we're stuck with it. So much for common sense when it's right in front of you. I guess the feel-good feeling outweighs reality, is what it sounds like to me. Mayor, I asked you at the last meeting about the recycling fee on the water and sewage bill being a separate line item. Did anybody ever figure that out? Lisa Griggs or the city manager?
It is.
It is going to be? Okay, that's a good thing. I want every resident to know what the services they're paying for on each bill cycle, so they can see that and know what they're paying for. On a positive note, I'd like to thank all the workers at the DPS, John. All your guys come right out the next day, had everything plowed real good and were real speedy. I know they did really good work, because we had a record historic snowfall in November, which we had more like 9 inches too. So I guess this next question might be for Lisa Griggs. What are the liabilities for the city if a tree on Lincoln Park easement falls and damages or destroys a vehicle on the street? Do we know that?
You can go, yes.
So the city has certain requirements it meets once a tree is reported to the city. So if the city does not know that there was a dead tree or some type of issue with the tree, even if we do know, we are still protected to some extent. So we do always recommend to citizens when it happens that they also put a claim in with their insurance company for through their auto policy. There's very few times that it's actually something that would be covered.
Okay. Thank you. And the reason I ask is because, you know, not everybody has full coverage, and if they've got a vehicle that they paid $2,000 or $3,000 for, and it's out in the street, and it gets totaled, I guess they're gonna have to be out on that money, I guess, so, I don't know, I think that's not really right, but, and last thing, on our dog pound animal shelter, is the structure the taxpayers paid around $70,000 for gonna be kept and utilized later when we do a new structure? Can anybody answer that?
Yes, it is.
It is?
To be used,
Okay.
yes.
All right, that's all I have tonight, thank you.
Hi, my name is Arlene Niebusch, and I live on Euclid Street in Lincoln Park. And every time you have a meeting, and I look at the News Herald all the time, I don't hear or see anything anymore about the flood. And I know there were not many, according to, I guess, the ratio of the city, homes that were affected. But my neighborhood was, my street was, my house was, and the whole area was. And I just never hear anything about it. I know that FEMA money was denied. I did read that, and the governor appealed it, but I never heard what happened after that. So I just wanted to bring it up, and that we're still here and we're still going through a lot of things from that flood that people, really don't know or don't care what we all went through. Where we lost furnaces, water heaters, washers, and dryers. And we had to replace them or repair them for thousands of dollars. If we had that kind of money, we wouldn't be living there. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. If there's any information about, the FEMA money or any answers to our questions, none of us have heard from anybody around there. We had stuff piled up 6-7 feet high on the curbs in the spring. We had furnace repair trucks lining the street. And it's just like we're the forgotten people there. It's like nobody seemed to even notice because it was only a few houses, I guess. And when I got up there, Dane, it was the night of April 30th and the day of May 1st. When I got up and looked out the window and saw ducks in my backyard and ponds, I knew something was wrong. So I looked down the basement and I saw everything floating with bins that were sealed, opened up from the pressure, I guess, from the water. So everything that was in bins is gone. And I guess the reason that I'm bringing it up is now that it's Christmas time and you go down there to get your Christmas decorations and tree, and they're not there anymore because one of your workers or volunteers threw them out. But if they were wet, you had to throw them out. So we have nothing, no decorations at all. And I don't know, there's a neighbor that works till 3 a.m. And she said she came home that night at 3 o'clock. And the water was up to our porches, the tops of our porches. And she stayed up that night. And about 6:45 that morning, it's as if somebody unplugged the drain in the bathtub. It all just whooshed away. So we don't know how that happened or anything. It just doesn't seem right. That in within seconds, she said it was seconds, the water just disappeared from the street. So I just wanted it brought to everybody's attention. If there's any answers on anything, we'd appreciate hearing about it. And we all said on our street that if anybody heard anything pertinent, we would let the others know, but so far, I guess nobody has, so thank you.
Seeing no one else approach at this point, we'll move on to oral reports of the council. Council President Breeding.
First of all, my basement flooded too. I was flooded 3 different times. And sitting here, I have to tell you, other than the FEMA getting turned down, I don't know anything either about the floods. So, and I have no more Christmas decorations and washer and dryer and refrigerators and
All those years of
Yeah.
stuff gone.
anyways, and I am sorry that it happened to anyone. I want to offer my condolences to John Kazoo and Lillian, who both have lost loved ones. I tell you, I get too emotional when I talk about things like that. So I offer my condolences, and I hope that the holiday sees you well and that you're able to think back on all the wonderful times and the beautiful experiences that you had. The Christmas tree lighting is on the 30th, as has been said. Thanksgiving on the 28th, and I don't have to cook this year. Isn't that wonderful? And I want to thank the DPS for the fine job they did cleaning up the street. I wish I had a bigger easement so that it didn't quite come over to my sidewalk, but I appreciate it anyway. So I think other than that, and my well wishes go to Tom Murphy. I hope he's doing better. So that's all that I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Salcedo.
Yes, I just want to make a brief happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and once again, my condolences to you, Lillian. Sorry for your loss, and Mr. Kazoo, same to you.
Oh, okay. Councilwoman Ross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you for your kind words. They do help. I did leave these bookmarks with Mayor and Council. They're compliments of Kiwanis. I did want to show them off because I think they're beautiful. This is our first place winner, Jamana, and this is our second place winner, Olivia. These are also available at the library. So congratulations to them. We've got a lot of things coming up for the kids. Don't forget the movies at the library on Wednesdays. They've extended. I know they initially wanted 6 weeks, but I know that they're going into December. There's also a Thanksgiving craft this Wednesday for the kids at the library from 6:30 to 7:30. And Santa is going to be very busy between the Fantasyland and tree lighting and the farmers' holiday. So we've got a lot of things for the kids. Get out, get outside, and spend some time with people. I don't know, today's just been, it just makes me want to say, be kind to each other. Live with no regrets. And I think this is the first bell ringing for the Veterans Ceremony that there's been snow. And it was actually beautiful. So I'm glad that we didn't cancel that was still on. That was worth it. Keep recycling. I know it's making a difference at my house with the garbage. So where with the regular garbage is not quite so full anymore. So we should be putting a dent in those fees, I think. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you.
Ma'am, Councilman Higgins.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to say that about the recycling, I have been absolutely amazed at how many blue cans I'm seeing throughout my neighborhood. I didn't think I'd see as many as I am, and I don't know how it'll all turn out in the end, but I have been amazed at how many I've seen. I'd like everybody to know that since winter has decided it's going to join us earlier than normal, the schools and the Parks and Rec have once again are going to be doing the winter walk at the high school, and it will be starting at the end, starting next week. They're going to ask that the same as always, that you come in through the loading dock door and go immediately to the staircase right next to the loading dock door and walk upstairs. This is very, very good and allows people to walk through the winter and get their exercise. It's been a very good program. I'd also, while I'm on the subject of the schools, like to remind everybody that it is winter season now and the winter sports are all starting up. So if you have children who would like to be involved, wrestling, basketball, cheerleading, and of course swimming is starting up. So come on out, have a good time. Since my good friend Chris has already mentioned the KISS concert coming up at the Lincoln Park Moose, which and I know I'm looking around the room and I've seen several people at the concerts in the park, and we all know how we enjoy them. So you'll all want to be New Year's Eve at the Lincoln Park Moose with a fine food. And just so everybody knows, Chris, I have tickets with me. So if you would like to buy some, just pointing that out. I'd also like to remind everybody again about the book fair on the 8th, which will be at our library, and the money goes to our library. Come in, buy your Christmas gifts there. There we've already signed up, I think, 14 different vendors of different types, and it's going to be a wonderful thing. And you speak about wonderful things, and I would like to report that the Lincoln Park schools got together with the city of Lincoln Park. We at the schools did away with an old sign that was in front of the high school where we used the letters, and we still and so we have donated, the schools donated letters to the city, so the letters will be used in front of the community center, keeping that things that were bought with tax money for the city and keeping it in the city. It's a wonderful thing. I'd also like to remind everybody, it was mentioned about food drive and people needing food. The Lincoln Park Moose has stepped forward and they're running their food drive, and the hands of the city are helping them. And we are giving all the money all the food to Blessed Hope. We've made three donations. And I know a lot of people have been asking questions about, does that food stay in Lincoln Park? And it goes right to Blessed Hope, which is in Lincoln Park, and it helps a lot of Lincoln Park people. Please donate. The Fantasyland was already mentioned, but I have to mention it again because it is a true gem of our city. It brings people from all over. I know my family is now enjoying it in our third generation. My mom brought me there as a kid. I brought my kids there. Last year I got to bring my grandchildren there, and it just gets better every year. Please come out and enjoy. And I guess that'll be it for tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Kelsey?
Thank you, Your Honor. I too would wish my condolences to John and to Lillian. It's never a good time to leave or lose somebody, and Councilman Breeding said it very well. I can't say any more about that. I guess I'm going to put a fly in the ointment. In my neighborhood, there's not too many people that recycle, but that's just the way it is. I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but right now they're not, okay? And it's obvious when you drive down, you can see whether the can's out or not, but it's your choice. That's why we got America. Speaking of that, we had the veterans thing at the museum, and the mayor did a nice job of doing the presentation and talking about the day of remembrance. Lillian and myself were there. We had a lot of dignitaries, which was nice for the city. You had the Congressman Dingell there. You had our county commissioner, Alona Varga. You had Cara Clementi there, our representative. So it was very nice to see the dignitaries take time out of their time to be there. And it was very nice to see that. Speaking, I think Tracy brought up the American Indians. We were there because they sent a letter to all the council to ask about coming down to see their thing on Wednesday of how they give food out. Myself and Lillian sat there. We had the opportunity to go. We sat down with Faith, who runs the place, and Faith showed us the letter she sent to Gretchen Whitmer about the funding and why they should be funded, and I won't go into that, but she sent the letter, and it was quite enlightening to us because it was stuff we didn't know. She had a problem with her parking lot, and she had a problem with the ambulance across the street that was blocking the way so the truck couldn't get in from Gleaners because it's a big truck. We took care of both those issues. That's why we were standing out in the cold, talking to a few people. And they do give their excess of food to Blessed Hope. So the food that they do not use does go to Blessed Hope. So Blessed Hope gets a lot of, not that it's makes much difference, but they get a lot of revenues that's streamed to them so they can help out people too. The other thing is that Mr. Kudrak brought up an issue about the building department or whatever it was. Thank you, the building authority. If I'm not mistaken, I got an email on there that was talked from the clerk about when it was created, what it was created for. It didn't go in the other 12 things you asked about, but it was a response to it. So I got to say that on the record because I got it. I know the rest of the council got it. So in one respect, it might not have been everything, but it was a response. I'm going to leave that where it is. I'm a firm believer that, you know, if you're going to say something, that's fine, but let's don't allude to stuff that's not all there, okay? And that goes to everybody, and that's just the way it is. And going back to DPS, they did a great job, but you go on Facebook, you thought they butchered the city when you look at it, and that's a shame. That is really a shame when you look at some of that stuff that's posted. Some people put good stuff because when they put it on there, they put it on there because they don't know when people help them, and that's fine. But when you put false stuff or you create dissent, that's ridiculous. You know, and as a veteran, everybody has the freedom. I mean, I fought for that. I served for that. A lot of us did. But when you intentionally create mischief or mistrust, that's ridiculous. I don't understand it at all. There's no purpose for it. Nobody's on there to create a problem. Everybody's on there to try to help out. And a lot of the postings I see are asking questions, and people help them out. But all I got to say is the city is also the conduit for a lot of questions, because sometimes when they ask the questions, it's either an answer that happened in the past or it's something that's not current right now. So the city does have somebody that answers the phone and does get back with people. And I'm just saying that the information is, when it comes from the city, it should be pretty accurate. If it isn't, then we're responsible for it. And a little venting there, because I have a problem with that when I see some of that stuff. Otherwise, you know, like I said before, it's the old story. If you don't want it, don't go on it. I don't, but sometimes people post things that they're requesting for the city, and a couple of us are on the residents that we see, and sometimes we go on there to see what's going on, and we kind of wonder, well, that's funny. We get around a lot. We haven't seen nothing, or why is this person complaining? And like I said, a lot of us spend a lot of time in this city, to go around. And Tracy, you just saw part of what a couple of us do, and the rest of us do the same thing, where we go to different functions. And what I'm saying is that if you know, it's fine to complain. I don't have a problem with that. It's fine to question. I don't have a problem with that. But it's all not as bad as people make it out to be. And there are people around here that try, whether you're a resident or an elected official, or you work for the DPS. A lot of those people in DPS are just new people driving those big trucks that are plowing. And we had an extraordinary amount of snow, more than anything that we've seen around here, according to the news people. And sometimes things are done where it's not quite perfect, but you know what? It's not done intentionally. And I think the fact that when some people put on there that it was intentionally done by the DPS is, to me, it's an affront. I don't appreciate that. And I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, we do a lot in this city to make things the right way. It's not all perfect, but it's the way it is. I'm going to end on a good note before I get wound up anymore. It's Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has a nice time. We are empty nesters, so I'm going out to eat for Thanksgiving. So my wife is very happy, and I'll be happy because I can have my choice where I go. So with that, happy Thanksgiving, and I hope to see everybody at the tree lighting because it's a wonderful time, and we've all talked about it, and in Fantasyland, stuff that's been in this city for a long time that people were making and donating their time to make those functions work the way they are supposed to. And I think it's some of the people have taken a appreciation of it, and I think we need more to appreciate what we have. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Parkinson.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to echo a little bit, Councilman Kelsey. The DPS did a wonderful job. All the complaints I saw, well, what can you expect us to do with the snow? If we don't plow, you'd be complaining even more. So the plowing, it's a hard job to take care of, especially when you get an excessive amount of snow like we had. The roads weren't treated, so they were slippery and bad till the salt got to them. So the DPS did a fine job. They did the best they could. So when you want to complain, complain, figure what you'd do if they didn't plow. The leaves, John, I'm sure they're gonna be back out to the sweepers again. As long as they're not frozen to the street, they'll be out there sweeping the streets, trying to get the leaf situation taken care of. Back again, Mr. Zek, the building department. If you get, put the building department back under the city realm, it saves $250,000 a year. They would definitely put the finance department a little more in a positive. So while you're thinking about it, it's $20,000 a month while you're thinking about it. The HR department, I haven't had a report from the HR department lately. You've had all the other department heads here. So it'd be nice if we get a HR report, maybe next council meeting.
If they're on the schedule for the next one, I'm
Well,
sure they'll be
they-
ready. but if
when
they're-
was the last one that they were up?
I'm not certain, but if they're,
Well,
but we'll
it's time.
schedule them, we'll schedule them up.
It's time. Condolences to John. My dad goes back, my dad grew up with your father. And I've known both John and his father a little bit for years. When John came here, I got to know him a lot better. Lillian, I'm sorry about your stepmother. That's a shock. Well, what can I say? Happy Thanksgiving. And just on a note, we had severely cold weather. Now, last year, when we had cold weather, I had a friend that froze to death in Ecorse. He used to be a city councilman. So when it's that cold, watch out for your neighbors, your friends, your children, and your animals. If the kids are going to school and they look like they're freezing, try to help them out. So watch everybody during this cold weather, including the animals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The young lady from Euclid, if you were to call the city manager's office in the morning, we'll give you whatever information is available. There isn't a whole lot. FEMA has denied all payments. There's not a whole lot of money and things that are available, but he will research. After the meeting, if you come up and grab his card, we'll try to answer whatever questions that you have. We have a lot of issues that people are arguing back and forth within here. We're all trying to work together to do what is best for the city. We have reminders and people on council, in the audience, the police department, and Mr. Kazoo here that have lost people. And in this time of Thanksgiving, we all have to remember that life is short, and that we do our best to get along and to make sure that others have the same quality of life that we enjoy too. So if you have an opportunity to share with somebody during this time period, invite somebody, a stranger, to dinner, bring an extra person with you when you go to out to eat on Thursday or whatever. We all live here. We all get along. We all want the same thing. So, and from me, my family, and from our family here, we wish you all the very blessed Thanksgiving and a good time with all. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Breeding? Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
HR is not a department head.